What's going on, everyone? So, reports came out that the San Antonio Spurs may end up being out on Kevin Durant, right? That the Miami Heat, the Minnesota Timberwolves, as well as the Houston Rockets are the three kind of finalist teams that within the next few days are going to be stumbling over themselves in order to get Kevin Durant. Which team is going to win the Kevin Durant sweepstakes? Now, couple things. One, San Antonio still could come out of left field and end up getting the trade done, right? You get reports all the time about like, oh man, it's all down to these teams. And then all of a sudden, that fourth team comes out of nowhere and swoops them up, right? Great example recently that comes to mind immediately is the Donovan Mitchell trade. He was headed to the Knicks. All it was Knicks, right? And then what happened? The Knicks ended up sitting on their thumbs too long and he ends up going to the Cavs, right? So to me, I look at it and go, okay, there is still the potential that the Spurs can land him. But at what cost, right? First off, supposedly Kevin Durant's camp wants him to go to the Spurs. And supposedly Kevin Durant's preferred destination is the Spurs. Okay, if all of those are true and accurate, then why doesn't Kevin Durant just force his way to the Spurs, right? Because he's going into a contract year. So he easily can just go, hey, you could trade for me, Houston. You could trade for me, Miami. You could trade for me, Minnesota. But as soon as next year's over, I am going right to the San Antonio Spurs in free agency. Right? And now all of a sudden, those teams start going, ooh, do we really want to make that move? Do we really want to pony up what it would cost in order to do that? And, all of a sudden, teams start backing out, start thinking, and then next thing you know, he's a Spur. That very well could happen. If Kevin Durant really wants to be a Spur, guess what? He can make himself a Spur. But let's go into the assumption that if the Spurs want to get into the mix, they're going to have to pony up a lot. Because you look at a team, Minnesota, it's kind of interesting. Honestly, if Kevin Durant wants to win ASAP, you can make an argument Minnesota's probably the best place for him. Right? Spurs, I definitely think can get there, but I do think that there are some questions, right? Like, can De'Aaron Fox elevate this team enough to contribute to winning? That's a big question, right? There was a question with Sacramento. He comes to the Spurs and they had a worse winning percentage and they didn't even give up any significant pieces. It wasn't like they lost Vassell and Castle and everything. It's like, oh, well, De'Aaron Fox just gave you the same production. Like, no, it was they kept everybody, right? Two, what does Wemby look like in year 3, right? What does Stephon Castle look like in year 2? What does Dylan Harper look like as a rookie? Right? All of these things I think are important as far as like Kevin Durant, you insert and now become a contender, right? But I also think that the Spurs, if those things work out the way that you want to, yes, immediately, you can make an argument, might even be the best team for Kevin Durant, right? Because he can on many nights be the third guy if he wants to kind of get through the season. And then at any point, here's the basketball, right? But you look at a team like Minnesota, they've been in the conference finals 2 straight years. Right? You got Anthony Edwards, young star, right? Add Kevin Durant, that team's tough, right? So it just depends on what does Kevin Durant want? What is he looking for? Right? It might take a year or 2 for the Spurs to get there. Is that something that he really wants? Or you could look at it like Minnesota, like you add me to Minnesota, we might win next year, right? So again, a couple things there, but is it worth for the Spurs to pony up what they may have to pony up in order to go and acquire a Kevin Durant, right? Of course, we would all love it to be, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson in the 14th pick, right? To where you keep Harrison Barnes, boom, there you could slot him at your other forward position if you need. Now you're in business, right? But all of a sudden, it's like you got all these teams that are stumbling all over themselves and offering, and it drives up the price. Made a video the other day about it, right? There's a lot of competition for Kevin Durant. Competition leads to an increase in price, right? If I have one item, and I start the bidding at $100, and there are, 12 people bidding for that starting point is going to get driven up a lot higher than if there's 1 or 2, right? Especially if there's only 1. So to me, it's like, how high would the Spurs have to go? Is it Jeremy Sohan, the 14th pick, Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell? Okay, sure. I know some people wouldn't want to get rid of Jeremy Sohan, but you have to pay to play, right? You have to give something to get something. All right. Well, is it Jeremy Sohan and another first? Now you're starting to get a little overpay. All right. Is it worth it? I mean, you could argue, hey, you can't win without some risks, right? Like, great rewards, right? Like, can't win if you don't gamble type thing, right? So, okay, maybe. But what if it's Sohan and 2 more picks? I'm talking about on top of the 14th. It's like, at what point do you stop? I'm not against the Spurs just staying the course, right? Obviously, at some point, you probably want to expedite things a little bit if you can, right? Like, you got De'Aaron Fox. You can't really wait 5 years, and now you're starting to get in the conversation, and it's like De'Aaron Fox is phasing himself out, but it doesn't mean you have to do it and get everything done today. It doesn't mean that you have to go and make, a huge splash. And you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? Like Giannis could become available, right? Maybe that's the move. Or what happens every, month, 2 months, 3 months, right? A new star becomes available. There's always going to be somebody that goes, I want out, right? On every team, on every organization, it's going to be like, you know what? Maybe it's time I look elsewhere. And then that guy becomes available. Maybe that's the guy. Maybe, I don't know, somebody, maybe Jokic in a couple years, next year, or at the trade deadline is like, I'm not happy in Denver anymore. Get me out of here. And then all of a sudden it's like, you go get Jokic and win a championship, right? Like as soon as this year, right? Like, again, I'm not saying that will happen or necessarily happen, but my point is like, you don't know what tomorrow will bring. And you're not in a place of desperation. It's not like all your stars are, 33 where it's like, man, like if we don't do something now, we're going to end up missing the boat here, right? No, all your guys are very young to where, you can give it, if it takes a year or two and you be patient, that right guy comes along, allow guys to get experience. You can even go the OKC route where it's like, okay, you missed the playoffs. Now you're a playoff team. Maybe you lose in the first round. And then maybe, you get to the conference finals, lose in a tough 6 or something. And then now you're moving into a championship team. And, Wemby's in year, 5 at that point. Castle's in year 4, Dylan Harper's in year 3, and these guys are starting to take the strides necessary to now put you in that position to win. Who knows, right? Who knows what tomorrow will be, what tomorrow will bring. There's a lot of potential possibilities, and the Spurs are in excellent shape regardless. Right? And look, I've even said I don't mind if instead of going and pony up everything you have to pony up for Kevin Durant, go look at there's other players. Right? Like, can you go get a Herb Jones and a Trey Murphy I've talked about? Now you saw both of your forward positions. Now you have your starting 5 locked up for the next 6 years. I'd rather go that route. And I mean, even if you have to give up a little more, right? Like, let's say Kevin Durant, let's say you have to give up Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, right? And then your 14th pick, Jeremy Sohan, and 2 firsts, right? Like you could do that for Kevin Durant. Again, it's an overpay, right? But if you could do that for Herb Jones, yeah, you might be able to argue it's an overpay, a slight overpay, but at least you're getting a 24, about to be 25-year-old that's just coming off of a 25-5 season that can slot in beautifully at your 4 spot alongside Victor Wembanyama, and Herb Jones, who's one of the best perimeter defenders and one of like the top 3 and D guys in the league that can slot in at your 3 and solve both of your forward spots. And he's also only 26, 27. So now you have your starting 5 for the next 6 years. I'd rather do something like that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.